Okay, let's talk about Chapter 9, Generative Practices. So the word generative means like having the power, function of generating, actually producing, originating, or reproducing ideas, practices, thoughts, etc. So generative practices in healthcare. How do I change the slide? Here we go. Learning objectives are on this slide and on page 153 in the book. Generative practices, self management, and interactive strategies that empower individuals to believe in their value as agents of positive change. Yes. So, professionals who are engaged in their work, committed to their personal and professional growth, share their organizational vision, and strive to accomplish objectives that have deep meaning to them, are participants in generative learning. Generative practices are techniques and methods, support systems that foster learning and empower individuals. These practices facilitate self awareness, self management, communication, collaboration, clarification, reflection, and these are essential interprofessional competencies. So, like, that would just be a perfect little employee, a perfect group member, if you will, one who can do all that. Key to sustainable social systems, yes, building social capital at the individual, interpersonal, group, and organizational levels. That's four different levels there, and that you can sustain social systems by building those relationships. So, individual practices, role informed behaviors, and personal renewal strategies are listed on the slide. Personal renewal is I was about to say spoken about. It's written on page 154 going into 155. So the biggest thing here, the first paragraph is like, yes, it's perfect. Um, with the rapid change, need to take big risks, often feeling like you have to make life and death decisions sometimes. This is real. There is burnout and compassion fatigue in many healthcare facilities, depending on what those healthcare facilities offer. Many healthcare people walk around in a high state of functioning, like we're in fight or flight. So very stressful. So we have to do personal renewal activities because in times of stress, the rational parts of the brain are likely to be impacted. So we are short tempered. We say things we really didn't mean, or we meant it, but we didn't mean to say it particularly in that way. Anyway, so you have to do personal renewal practices. There's also self awareness and self management. Let me get caught up on my PowerPoint slide. Sacrifice syndrome is mentioned here. Yes, okay. Personal renewal is an antidote to the sacrifice syndrome. Yes, absolutely. Self sustaining behaviors, physical and emotional activities such as exercise and the development of caring relationships. Yes. Let me make sure I'm not getting ahead of myself. Okay. Sometimes the book and these PowerPoints do not line up. All right, interprofessional practices on the PowerPoint. Yes, same thing on page 154. Avoidance of shorthand interpretations, reframing, affirmative language. Okay. All right, so let me stop this PowerPoint real quick. So page 157 does a great job speaking to staying in the role, and we do this very much so in healthcare, traumas, stressful events, all kinds of things that you stay in your role. If you allow yourself to be human in the moment, you'll lose your composure, whether that is crying, being angry, sad, not wanting to do the job anymore. So we really do stay in our role. Interprofessional practices is on page 158, so I am just a little bit ahead in the slide. All right, so this is where it was speaking of the avoidance of shorthand interpretation, reframing, affirmative language, and the absence of mindful attention to the perspective of others. Misperceptions can often devolve into polarizing and disengagement of group members. So sorry, interpersonal practices are very important, and more about that on page 158, 159. Reframing is mentioned on page 160. Affirmative language used in the following box is an example of reframing. So I highlighted having access to a variety of perspective broadens the possibilities for innovative intervention strategies. The book does a great job on this topic. Okay, now I'm caught up. Group practices, page 162, and also on this slide. Emotional reality of group organization community is comprised of subtle yet powerful underlying emotional currents that affect the overall climate, culture, and behavior of the group. Yes, yes, yes. Page 163 speaks to the team as a leader. Organizational practices. Hang on, let me see. Let me get caught up on my PowerPoint here. Negative emotional contagion, absolutely. Oof, negative emotions, the most contagious one. Sustaining a positive team culture, you definitely have to be deliberate. Yes, yes, yes. All right. Mhm. Group practices. Oh, we're still continuing to talk about group practices. Okay. Develop and shared values, build curiosity, hope, and resiliency. The team as a learner. I feel like I've already, yep, that was on page 163. All right, fantastic. Team as a learner, we're still talking about that. All right, now we have moved up to organizational practices in the PowerPoint. So on page 165, you can find this topic. The complex systems such as healthcare organizations require problem solving and change strategies that consider diverse, which are often opposing. So you have to consider somebody's opinion or perspective that necessarily do not agree with you, and from this broad range of stakeholders. Explore questions that matter, be inclusive, identify themes and patterns, connect that diverse perspective that we were just talking about, and share collective discoveries. Appreciate the inquiry. There are 8 essentials that are mentioned on page 165. They go all the way over to page 166. That word World Cafe approach is on page 171 here. The open space technology can be found on page 170 in the book. The book does a great job, so I'm not going to summarize it for you. This is a quick read, actually. It's a good chapter. Appreciative inquiry is, mhm, it was, it's somewhere in the book. Okay. Ooh, I just flipped that a little too fast. Sorry about that. So, discovery, dream, design, destiny, yes. Self organized, emergent action, facilitate cognitive flexibility and creative problem solving, absolutely. Then, open space technology, World Cafe approach. Okay, that's it. That's the end of the PowerPoint. Again, I think the chapter does a great job at reviewing all these topics mentioned in the PowerPoint. If you need any help with anything this week, please do not hesitate to outreach me. Thank you so much.